Hey all, Mix RPD here with you. So we're going to do a different type of video today. We're going to stay out of the computer and we're going to go into the real world here of my studio, do a little tour. I'm going to show you how I chose to set up in the room here, where my listening position is and my desk is, how I chose the monitors that I use and where I chose to set them up within the room, and then show some of the room treatment that I have around on the walls and the new stuff on the ceiling that you might be able to see above me. I'm going to show you how I came about picking where to place those panels and how you might be able to go about doing the same thing for your room. Okay, so this is my desk setup. So the first important thing to note is that we are centered within the room here. So in a rectangular room, you have a long wall and a short wall. So the long wall is what I'm set up against. This is the short wall we're looking at here with the door. Because if you see a lot of people's setups, they're sort of shoved in one corner over here kind of thing. And it's like, I mean, I get it. Some people have to share a room. It's a multi-purpose thing. But if you're trying to do a dedicated setup, you really do want to be centered within the room. So, you know, symmetrical, right? Same distance from the left side as from the right side. Or the left side as from the right side. I did that backwards, but you know what I mean. So beyond that, we're in sort of the first half of the room. From the front wall here, the wall behind the speakers. Hey, buddy. We are actually pretty close to the front wall. And one thing about these speakers, which are Focal Shape 50, that's the model. So they're not very big. They're only 5-inch woofers, not huge. Not tiny, but not huge. And it's what's called a non-ported design, right? So you can see there's no hole in the speaker anywhere. If I go around the back, you'll see there's no hole either. I'm not going to do it, but trust me. So that's important because I'm able to get very close to the speakers. The bigger the speakers are, the further you have to be back from the speakers to really get the effect properly. And also, I can have the speakers close to the back wall and it's not causing issues for me. So, but for instance, I wouldn't want to be set up in the middle of the room here or in the back of the room here where the couch is. So that's something to consider for your setup. There's also a subwoofer down below the desk. So this is just helping to fill out the low end frequencies because, as I said, it's a 5-inch woofer. So it's not the most low end in the world, but you'd be surprised, it's a lot of low end. But the sub just helps it extend down into the very bottom octaves. And then in terms of room treatment, you can see I have some basic panel up behind the speakers. And then I've just installed this cloud with some little guys up here. But I've just installed these panels above my head. So this is really helping in terms of like I can listen a lot quieter now, is what I find. Sorry if there's any dog hair on there. She gets everywhere. But yeah, I can sit here and I can listen at a very quiet level now and really get all the detail. On the side walls here, we have some large panels and the essential classic toque, or beanie as the Americans call it, but we're in Canada, so we call it a toque. So I'll show you the mirror trick, but this is where the sound is going to be reflected and coming back to the listening position off the side wall. So basically, if you have a huge mirror like this, then you can maybe get away with it, but otherwise you're probably going to need some help. And you just get someone to sort of go hold the mirror along the wall and move across the wall slowly while you sit in the listening position, and you're just looking for anywhere that you see the speakers showing up in the mirror from the listening position. So anywhere you can see the speakers in the mirror, that's where you're going to want to put a panel. So I'm seated in the listening position here, and you can see behind me I've set the mirror up, and you can see, if I get the camera in the right position, you can see both speakers appear in the mirror. So that means we're getting a reflection off the back wall. Easier to see with the front camera maybe, but there you can see that both speakers appear in the mirror. So definitely going to be getting a reflection, which is why we have 2 panels behind the couch here. In the corners here, we have some bass traps. So in the corner is where the low frequencies tend to go. So bass trapping is the most effective in the corners. So the thing with bass traps is that you can pretty much never have enough of them. The biggest problem in a room in a house, so like a small room, which is basically any room in a house, is always the low end. So you can see this is the readout for my room. So look down around here. That's where the main issues are, right? A big buildup around 60 hertz, and then a little bit of a dip around 100 hertz, a little bit up around 200, 300 hertz, and then after that it pretty much stabilizes. So the biggest problems are always in the low end. So we can't have enough bass trapping, as I said. And the thing about it is it's most effective in the corners, and you can see these guys are pretty thick, and hear that? They're pretty dense as well. And just for a little tour around, I have some instruments up on the wall here. Very convenient to have the guitar hooks when you're working. You just need to put the guitar up somewhere, and you don't want floor stands all over the place. I like to keep records and little doodads around, books. Books, I think, help absorb a bit of the sound. It's probably not very scientific, but it doesn't hurt, and it helps with the vibe. Records around just to keep me company, stuff that I like. This one's fallen over. Let's just pick it up here. Some microphones up on stands ready to go. They say the best microphone is the one that's already up on the stand. Where's Waldo? I don't know, you tell me. But we got a bunch of headphones here. These are my preferred headphones for mixing, the DT880s, Beyerdynamic, semi-open back. But that's not going to be a very good choice for recording, so I have some closed back headphones as well. We have a record player to play the records, of course. Another microphone here, big fan of this one. This is a tube microphone. I have a collection of microphones here that maybe we'll get into one day, but this is where they're all stored. I have a bunch in the box here. And I have the overhead lights on today, but I usually like to keep the lights a little low. I have different lighting options around, some colored lighting for vibiness. Some little guys on the desk to keep me company. Michelangelo there, Jazz the dog, Stephen Hawking, an F1 car, and Doc from Back to the Future. Also have the Essential Son of Luca CD from class _sick. A must. And these are difficult times after all. In terms of the desk technology, I have the Apollo Twin, which is what's connected to the speakers at the moment. I also have an Audient ID44 that I actually like to use a little better for recording. But I have the Apollo to run the UAD plugins, which are really, really great. I have a PreSonus fader port, which I'm just actually kind of starting to use, but I use Cubase, so it's a little crazy, I guess. I don't know. So we'll just show the rack off just briefly here. So we have a power conditioner at the top here with the lights, just providing power to everything in the rack. This is my nicer preamp, my SSL solid state logic alpha channel. So if I'm recording one source, like a vocal, like a single vocal or something like this, I'll probably use this. So it's just a really nice preamp with some EQ and dynamic control. And then I have like a dedicated stereo compressor here, just this ART VLA, Pro VLA 2. So it's basically the cheapest compressor you can buy that isn't crap. But I don't use any of this stuff in mixing, really. This is just for recording. And down here we have the Pultec. If you've watched any of it's a Pultec clone, of course. It's not a real one, it's the Warm Audio one. But yeah, it's just an EQ, like a low and high frequency EQ, basically. And if you've watched any of my mix videos, you'll know that I love to use these all over the place. So basically, to summarize, what I'm going for here is you're trying to create a reflection-free zone for what you're sitting in. You don't want a bunch of sound being reflected off the ceiling above you, the floor below you, and the walls around you. So you're trying to find those reflection points and put absorption. And also, we didn't really discuss diffusion because I don't have any diffuser panels, but that's a thing as well. And in terms of your speaker positioning, you're going for symmetry, right? You want the same distance from all the boundaries, right? The back wall, the side walls, and you want your listening position to be equidistant from both speakers. So it's like an equilateral triangle, and you are the point in the triangle. So yeah, what else can I say about setting up a studio? I mean, try to keep it comfy, try to keep the vibe up. You know, comfortable temperature is important, humidity level for singers especially, and microphones and equipment, you know, all that stuff. Instruments will go out of tune if your humidity is up and down. So, you know, just try to keep everything in check. You know, comfortable drinks on tap, that kind of thing. You know, anything you could want. Have a good restaurant ready to go. So that's about it for this place for now. Hope you enjoyed having a little look around, and maybe you found this informative or entertaining or something like that. If you're still with us, then I guess you did. So that's me, Mix RPD, signing off for now. I'm always available for mixing and mastering, of course, if you need that kind of thing. So we'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.